Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. All right, let's kick off another deep dive. Today, we're peering into the crystal ball, trying to get a glimpse of what 2025 might hold for the crypto world.
Sounds exciting.
It is. And to help us navigate this uncharted territory, we've got some insights from a crypto analyst who's been reviewing the ups and downs of 2024.
Okay, so kind of a year-end review and a sneak peek into the future.
Exactly. Think of it like we're trying to decipher those hidden signals in the market noise so you know what trends and developments to keep an eye on. This landscape is constantly changing, so it's always good to stay ahead of the curve.
I like that. Always good to have a roadmap.
Right. So our analyst kicks things off by looking at how the stock markets performed this year. And, well, to put it mildly, it wasn't a smooth ride. Both the CAC 40, that's the French stock market index, and the S&P 500 over here in the U.S., they kind of took a bit of a tumble.
Oh, so not exactly a year for the record books in the stock world?
Not quite. So why the downturn?
Well, the analyst points to a couple of big factors. First up, China's economy, it's been slowing down, and that's sending ripples throughout the global markets.
Since China's a major player.
Absolutely. And then the second thing is all those economic policies that governments around the world have been putting in place, they seem to have added to the overall uncertainty, made investors a little jittery.
Okay, so we've got this backdrop of a kind of wobbly global economy. But here's the thing. Amidst all this, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Fed, they're actually pretty optimistic about inflation cooling down. They even went so far as to bump up their economic growth forecasts.
Really? That's interesting because I've been seeing a lot of headlines about inflation being sticky.
Yeah, it's kind of mixed bag. The Fed did acknowledge that inflation might stick around a bit longer than they initially thought, so they revised their predictions upward a little. And that's where things get super interesting, right? What the Fed decides to do with interest rates here in the U.S., it has a ripple effect on markets everywhere, including crypto.
Yeah, for sure. Interest rates are always a big deal.
Huge. So how does this all play into what's going on in Europe?
Well, you've got the European Central Bank, the ECB, and they're actually considering lowering interest rates, which, is the opposite of what's happening in the U.S.
So kind of going in different directions there.
Right. And earlier in the year, the talk was all about some pretty significant cuts, but it seems like they're being a bit more cautious now.
Okay, so we've got this divergence in interest rate policies between the U.S. and Europe. What could that mean, big picture?
One thing to keep in mind is the potential impact on the euro. With U.S. interest rates sitting between 4.5% and 4.75%, compared to Europe's 3%, it's putting downward pressure on the euro. Right now, the euro's trading at 1.04 against the dollar.
So dollar strong, euro's a bit weaker. Got it. But what does all this economic back and forth mean for someone who's interested in crypto?
Well, our analyst makes a point that's really worth highlighting. Even though we're seeing low asset variation in the crypto market right now, there are still tons of opportunities out there.
That's good to hear. But where exactly are these opportunities hiding?
Let's start with Link. It's actually been showing some positive momentum lately, breaking out of its previous trading range.
Oh, that sounds promising.
Yeah.
But there's always a but, right?
Well, there is a little but here. Link is currently pulling back a bit.
Taking a breather.
Exactly. And what's interesting is this pullback is happening at the same time as this technical pattern called a head and shoulders formation. Some analysts see this as a bearish signal.
Bearish meaning prices could drop even more.
Yeah, it's a possibility. However, the analyst also points out that this current resistance level, kind of like a ceiling that's been preventing the price from going higher, it could potentially flip and become support. Think of support like a floor that prevents prices from falling too much.
So Link is kind of standing at a crossroads right now. Which way will it go? What other tokens are on this analyst's radar?
Okay, so 3 others they highlight are Injective, Tau, and Fit. They seem pretty bullish on Injective, thinking it could become a real player in the crypto world.
What do they like about it?
Well, it's focused on high-speed trading and derivatives, and they think it could really shake things up in decentralized finance. For Tau and Fit, they suggest keeping an eye on them and maybe thinking about buying around the 430 level.
Okay, so we've got 4 tokens on our watch list so far. Earlier, you mentioned that the analyst is pretty optimistic about gaming tokens, especially IMX. What's the story there?
They're super bullish on IMX. They believe that it's in a prime spot to benefit from all the excitement around the metaverse and, blockchain gaming in general. They're predicting it could see some serious growth during the next bull market.
So IMX is one to watch for anyone interested in gaming and the metaverse. All right, that's a wrap for this part of our deep dive. We'll be back soon to continue our exploration of the analysts' predictions for 2025.
It's kind of wild, even with all this uncertainty in the global economy, there's still so much optimism in the crypto world.
Right. It's like crypto's got its own rhythm. It's dancing to a different tune than traditional markets.
Exactly. It's what makes it so exciting to follow. But with any investment, you got to be aware of the risks.
For sure. Got to keep a level head. So, thinking about those risks, what really jumps out at you from the analysts' predictions? What should our listeners really be paying attention to?
For me, the biggest takeaway is how connected everything is. The global economy and the crypto market, they're not in separate silos. What happens with interest rates, economic growth, even stuff happening on the geopolitical stage, it can all have a big impact on crypto.
Yeah, it's like crypto's not off in its own little world. It's woven into the fabric of the global financial system.
Exactly. And that system is always evolving, so understanding how it all fits together, that's key.
So, looking ahead to 2025, what are some of the warning signs, or maybe the green lights, that our listeners should be keeping an eye out for?
Well, first and foremost, watch what the central banks are doing, like the Fed and the ECB. What they decide about interest rates, it sends ripples throughout the whole financial system, and crypto's right there in the mix.
Right, those interest rate decisions are like dominoes. And what about, like, within the crypto market itself? Are there any specific trends that are worth keeping an eye on?
The analyst pointed out a few specific tokens to watch, remember? And each one kind of represents a different slice of the crypto pie.
Let's do a quick recap for our listeners. We've got Link showing some potential, but also facing a bit of pushback.
Yeah, and remember that head and shoulders pattern we talked about? That's something to watch. Could be a sign that prices might drop further. But on the flip side, if that resistance level morphs into support, then Link could be ready to make another move up.
Then we've got Injective. The analysts seem pretty excited about that one.
They think it could be a real disruptor in decentralized finance, focusing on high-speed trading and derivatives, that kind of thing.
And let's not forget about Tau and Fit. The analysts suggested maybe snapping them up around the 430 level.
Right. They think those tokens have got some room to run, especially if the crypto market as a whole starts to heat up again.
And last but not least, IMX, the gaming token that our analyst thinks could be a big winner in the next bull market.
Yep, the metaverse and blockchain gaming, those are trends to watch for sure, and IMX is sitting pretty ready to ride that wave.
So we've got a handful of interesting tokens to keep tabs on. But zooming out a bit, what other developments should our listeners be watching for, things that could shake things up?
Well, one big one is regulation. Governments all over the world are still trying to figure out how to deal with crypto, and whatever they decide, it's going to have a major impact on the industry.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Trying to find that sweet spot between encouraging innovation, but also protecting investors.
For sure. And another thing to watch is the tech itself, blockchain technology. There are new innovations popping up all the time, and these advancements could open up even more uses for crypto in the future.
It feels like we're still in the early days of the crypto story.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're watching a whole new financial system being built, and the possibilities are endless.
So to wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the one message you want our listeners to take away?
Don't let the complexity of crypto scare you off. Yeah, it's a technical field, but anyone can learn about it, if they're willing to put in the time and explore.
It's like any new frontier, right? There's going to be a learning curve, but for those who are willing to put in the effort, the rewards could be huge.
That's a great way to put it. And there are so many resources out there to help people learn, like online communities, educational websites, even podcasts like this one.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in a fast-moving space like crypto. So, to all our listeners, keep that curiosity alive, keep learning, and never stop exploring this amazing world of crypto. It's amazing, We've covered so much ground, from the global economy and what central banks are doing, all the way to specific crypto tokens and, the future of blockchain technology. It's been a wild ride.
It really shows you how connected it all is. You can't really understand the potential of crypto without wrapping your head around, the big economic forces that are shaping the world.
And the other way around, too, right? Crypto's shaking things up. It's making traditional financial systems rethink how money and value work, especially in this digital age we're living in.
For sure. It's this constant back and forth. It's like reshaping the financial landscape right in front of our eyes. It's crazy to think about it, really.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
I'd say don't be intimidated by all the complexity around crypto. Yeah, it's a technical field, but it's not rocket science. Anyone can learn about it if they're willing to put in a little effort and, just
It's
explore.
like anything new, right?
Right.
There's a learning curve, but if you're willing to put in the time, the payoff could be huge.
That's a great way to put it. And there are so many resources out there to help people learn, online communities, educational websites, even podcasts like this one.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in a field like crypto, which is constantly changing and evolving. So, to all our listeners out there, stay curious, keep learning, and don't ever stop exploring this incredible world of crypto.
And the best way to really understand something is to dive in and experience it firsthand. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different platforms, see what works best for you.
That's so true. The whole crypto world is built on this spirit of experimentation and innovation. Embrace the learning process, stay informed, and most importantly, have fun.
Could have said it better myself. It's a wild
Mhm.
ride, and we're all in it together.
And that's a wrap for another deep dive. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep those brain cells firing.